Guys, boys and girls, what a symposium it has been, right? Did you enjoy this? Guys, I want to thank everyone who has been involved with putting this symposium together. You know, it kind of sounds easy, but really there was a lot of work and time and dedication that went into organizing this symposium, right? All the things that happen in the background that you typically never notice when you come to a symposium, you know, to ensure the smooth running of it, that everything is there and, you know, there's no major complications, no hiccups, really needs a great team of organized people. So I'm forever thankful for the support that we have received from Centre Metro UK, not only financially, but also logistic-wise. So thanks very, very much, Darren Shorrocks, for your support with organizing the Elab Symposium, for believing in this strange concept, and for putting your money where your mouth is. So thank you very much, Darren, for helping us out with the symposium. Thank you. Now, another person that I really want to thank is you know, the brains behind the organization, the brains behind the logistics, and I'm very grateful for the support that we got. And this is, of course, Chris Lynch. Thank you very much, man. You rock. You're a killer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I want to start off actually by celebrating the community, okay? Because this is what Elab is really all about. Elab is about community. You know, I don't know how you feel about things, but, you know, like in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot more connection between dentistry and dental technology. And then somehow we just lost it. I don't know. We just sort of went different ways somehow with different interests and stuff. And with Elab, you know, I really feel that now, you know, we're getting closer together because we're talking about the same thing with the same language for the first time. And this is really helping. It's great. Because now we have technicians, you know, talking about the same thing, the Elab system, the LAB numbers, and so are dentists. And I think one of the things that we could see during this symposium is the broad applicability of the Elab system. It is not only limited to dental technicians, you know, it has much broader applications, although it saw its birth at the bench. That's where it came from. So, you know, I know there's a lot of controversy right now surrounding Facebook and privacy issues and stuff, but, you know, I adamantly believe without it, we wouldn't be here today. And I just want to show you a couple of cases. You know what? I've been more or less a professional lecturer for some 10 years, and there's one thing I can tell you, okay? When you get on stage, the thing that you do is you always show you a few best cases you had in a given year. And so you go onto Facebook, and I thought, right, I want to grab some images, and I want to show what the community can do with this protocol, what the community does, the people out there in the world. And I thought, right, I'm going to go onto Facebook and I'm going to grab the best cases. And you know what? These are not the best cases. These are all the cases that were posted in the last 4 weeks. There was no vetting, no selection required. This is what people do with this Elab protocol around the world today. They're getting persistent and consistent shade matches using the Elaborate protocol. Okay, they're not famous, you know, stage cats. They're not superstars. They're just enthusiastic dental technicians, enthusiastic dentists, and they're using this protocol to get amazing results. And for us, you know, Javier, myself, Panos, the inventors, that really makes us very proud, doesn't it? So thank you very much for making this protocol work and for putting it to life. Thank you so much, guys. And so we were so overwhelmed with the quality of the work that people are posting on Facebook and you know, the sheer volume of good work that people are posting, that, you know, to promote this symposium, we put this Elab competition together because, you know, we wanted people to put their work out and show us what they can do with the protocol. And a lot of people have participated, and this moment I really want to thank Henning Pilar from HBDent, because he's one of the main sponsors of the Elab competition. And we had a lot of guys submitting amazing cases. And I think when you visit the Elab group on Facebook for the first time, the thing that you notice is a lot of really good cases. Lots and lots of really good single central restorations. This used to be the hardest, most daunting challenge in restorative dentistry. And we put a bullet in its head. We killed the unicorn. And so we had so many good submissions into the Elab competition. Of course, there can only be one winner. And the jurors have decided that this young gentleman here was the winner. This is Sari Thailand, who is right now at the University of Birmingham in Atlanta, in Alabama in the United States. He's the winner of the competition. Today we live in a strange world. We live in crazy times. Unfortunately, this is a fact. And Sari is a Turkish national, which means he could not manage to get a visa to travel to the UK and to be here with us today, very sadly. But he's a brilliant dental technician. He's been one of the early adopters of the Elab protocol. He did the course in Barcelona at August Progress Training Center, where I am once a year. I think he did it 2 years ago, and this was his winning case. What an absolutely stunning result, a delta E of 0.57. Really, really happy with this. So again, congratulations. Sorry, if you're here, if you can see us, we're all very happy with you. This is your applause, please. Okay. What's new? Yeah, what's new? A lot of stuff, actually. So today I feel a little bit like, you know, it is Christmas and it's my birthday together. You know, the strange coincidences in life as they occur. So one thing that is new, I got published in Dental Materials. This is the paper that has been discussed controversially in certain circuits because it deals with the relevance of fluorescence under normal light conditions, and this is the PDF which is now available, and I've received it about 20 minutes ago, so I couldn't wait to share it with you. What I did with my mentor, my professor Jaap ten Bosch from the University of Groningen in Holland, is we investigated if the fluorescence of teeth is strong enough to make any difference under normal light conditions, because there is this persistent myth that fluorescence has something to do with aesthetics under normal light conditions, that you can use it to minimize metameric failure. However, this is a beautiful myth, but it is nothing more than a myth, because what we found in our study, the UV-induced fluorescence of natural teeth did not influence tooth color under normal daylight conditions. It did nothing. Now, does that mean fluorescence is not important? No, that's not what it means. Fluorescence is an optical feature of dental hard tissues. It needs to be emulated. Because when you're in the club, shaking the booty on the dance floor, right? And you want to meet people, you don't want to have a black central, so fluorescence is very important. But as far as normal light conditions are concerned, it is not. And this was necessary to figure out because we needed to know the building blocks of Elab when we invented it. We needed to know if this fluorescence thing was going to get in the way of anything. And this is why we did this research. As soon as new information becomes available, we have to adjust our forecast model. This is how science works. It's not about pissing anyone off, it's just how science works. We have new information, let's move on. Now, what else is new? Now, many of you, of course, have seen this logo here, and the Elab logo, which has been floating around in social media and Facebook. And this is derived, this is the E from bioemulation, because bioemulation is the think tank, it's the mothership, if you want, where the Elab system was born out of. Okay, this is where it came from, and it continues. The bioemulation group continues to be a think tank for new, exciting, innovative ideas. But Elab has now grown to a larger community that we have decided that we needed our own Elab logo, and this is the new logo, and you've seen it in some of the presentations already. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful logo designed by a good friend of mine in Germany. So this is the new logo that we're now using for the Elab. You're free and welcome to use it at your own disposal. You can use it, you can download it from Facebook anytime you want. Now, one thing that isn't new anymore that has been around since IDS, since we introduced it in IDS, is the Exes Bracket. And this was invented to standardize the photography if you use a lateral flash. Standardization with a ring flash is pretty simple, but standardization with a lateral flash is not so simple because you can adjust the thing in all sorts of directions. And so this is why we came up with this bracket, which is universal. You can use it for Nikon and Canon, the two most popular systems. Now, what is new, though, is these. We now have new retractors in a matching design because what we found, quite frankly, is if you use the 45 to 0 degree illumination with a clear plastic retractor, that clear plastic retractor is out of a material that we say has a birefringent property. It has the ability to repolarize light. So often it will create like specular reflections, white light shadows on the teeth. Okay, so this is why we had a need to come up with our own retractors that don't do this. They're black. And you can use them for autoclaving, and they fix this problem that you get with normal transparent retractors. Now, what else is new? Now, recently, we always look into making the Elab protocol easier and making it more accessible to more people. Now, Elab is an innovation in the true form, and that means what an innovation really means is that it requires change of behavior in return for advantage. That is the very definition of an innovation. An innovation is no innovation if it doesn't make anything better or if it doesn't make anything at all. But if it does something better, it usually requires a change of behavior. And in our case, this means that for many who want to get into the Elab system, you have to learn how to use a computer. You have to learn how to use software. And there's many different ways, many different softwares that you can use for Elab. Typically, we would teach this in Adobe Lightroom, but you can also use it with Photoshop. And now more recently, as Javier has taught me in Denmark just last weekend, we can also do this with Bridge. Now, Bridge is another program from Adobe that you can download. And I just want to show you the Elab protocol with Bridge, which we think might be a little bit easier because it is less involved, it has less steps, and it's maybe a less of an intimidating software. Okay? So what you do is you basically just double click on the raw file. You can put the pictures wherever you want. You choose the profile. Then you do a white balance as per normal. Click on the gray card. And then what is different, you have this sampler tool here. And you place a couple of those tick marks, those sample marks on the gray card so you get a nice big average. And then you can see here at the top of the screen are all the LAB values on the card. And so now when you're lowering the luminosity, you can see how this number is decreasing, and it does it really nicely. The values are not jumping around. Pretty quick, and you can have a side-by-side comparison as well. You can copy and paste those settings onto other pictures. In other words, you can synchronize them in the same way that Lightroom does this. And if you just stretch this over to the left-hand side, you have a side-by-side comparison. So this may make the protocol a lot easier, and it may make it a lot faster, and maybe Bridge is a little bit of a more intuitive software to use. Okay? So check this out. I will post this video shortly on YouTube so you can watch this again. And I think it reduces the complexity of the Elab protocol as it is at the moment. I think it might be easier to learn Bridge than Lightroom. But it goes to show that you can do it with a couple of different softwares. Now, what else is new? The demand for Elab is really increasing, okay? And there's a lot of demand for Elab courses and stuff to the point where it is getting too much for me to do. I want to revert back into my role as a researcher and dedicate my time into making the Elab protocol better and come up with new solutions to make it easier, most importantly. So I have launched a few days ago the Elab instructor program. And these guys here have come from all over the world. We have two guys from Australia, from Canada. We have guys from Holland, from Europe, and they are my Elab instructors. And I want to introduce you to them because they will be running certified Elab courses this year in their country, in their languages, or in other countries. So we'll have more people teaching this protocol because very often you have geographic regions where people want to learn this protocol, but they want to learn it in their language. Okay? And so I just want to introduce these guys to you. In my personal opinion, my expert opinion, they are the best. They are the best of the Elab community, okay? The first one that we have here is Kai. We call him Mr. Delta E0 because that's typically what he gets. And I hate him. When we printed these T-shirts, 0 is hero. We wanted to put in brackets below, except when you're Kai, which is natural, okay, because these are the values that he gets, okay. So Kai is based in Beilen, I believe, outside of Groningen in Holland. And this is the other Elab instructor. This is Irman here, who's a thinker like Irman because he thinks deeply about things and he checks up on the protocol and he helps us to improve the protocol and to look out for possible sources of error. Irman is a really good guy. He's a loving family father, and together with Kai, they'll be helping you out in Holland and in the Benelux countries with upcoming Elab courses. Now, another guy is the wonderful Leo from Canada, who has been around Elab also. He was one of the early adopters on the Barcelona course, and he will be helping out with spreading Elab among dentist clinicians in Canada, right, to teach them how to take the photos. Now, that is important. Elab is driven by photography. It's a photographic protocol, and we require good dental photography. It's a communication tool, and somebody needs to teach the practitioners how to use this tool for communication, for shade matching, to avoid downtime in the dental chair, and to avoid costly remakes and redos. So this is the role that Leon will play in Canada. And then next we have my old friend Sascha Negrini. I think this is a death shot. I think he just died after he took this picture. I'm not sure. Sascha, you were right, mate. Oh, that was last night, 3 o'clock. Fair enough. I said I needed a portrait shot. I should have mentioned this before you went to the pub, right? Right. Sascha and I were very close friends. We go back a long, long way. We've met in England 10 years ago, one of the first courses I ever ran in this country. He used to work outside of London, and then he moved his family over to Perth, Western Australia, which is where I used to have my lab. It was called Oral Aesthetics, and now Oral Aesthetic belongs to Sascha Negrini. So he's running it. He's keeping up the spirits and everything. He's continuing the legacy, I think. So he's a very good friend of mine, an excellent technician. So he'll be running Elab courses in Australia. And there's another gentleman that I want to introduce you, but I have to warn you, in real life, he's not that attractive. Okay? He's really good with a camera, takes very good photos. He took one of himself here, right? This is, of course, Rainer Avaran, who's originally from Austria. Today he lives in Adelaide in South Australia. He's a very good friend of mine. We go back a long time. He's an excellent dental technician, making his marks and leaving his marks in Australia and Australian dentistry. So he will be also teaching the elaborate protocol in Australia. Now, the next guy, okay? He looks like a nightclub bouncer, but he's not, okay? He's one of the finest dental technicians I know, and I kid you not, okay? It's the one and only Tomas from the Czech Republic. He's an amazing guy. He's an amazing character. I totally love his soul. Great technician, really good. So he'll be running the Elab courses in the Czech Republic and maybe a few other bordering countries. He seriously is one of the best technicians I know. And finally, my friend Jamal from Switzerland. He's a real trooper. Also, we've been friends for a long time. We go back a long way. He's a very, very fine technician. He was one of the first adopters of the elaborate protocol as well. And he's been getting really, really amazing results. And I'm really looking forward to have him on board as an Elab instructor to teach this protocol. I think he speaks 2 or 3 languages, so really, really cool. So I'm very happy and very glad to have these guys on board. And very soon you will be able to book their courses through our web shop, through our web store. Okay, so what else is new? Lots of news, right? That's what it's about. It should be new. Elab is new, so there should be lots of news. Before I can tell you what's new, right, I have to go a little bit back into the past. This is really the humble beginnings of the elaborate protocol. This was a case that I did probably around 2012 while I was still in Perth, Western Australia. And I had many of these cases, maxillary single central cases. And I remember this guy coming to the lab, and so he was sitting there. I think he was of an Indian ethnicity, and I wanted to take a shade, and I pull up my shade guard and go like, dude, I don't know, whatever you have in your mouth, that doesn't come off a shade guard, I can tell you that. I've never seen a tooth color like yours, okay? And this is a typical case. We got a lot of red color in his tissue going on here, and a discolored tooth, metal post and core in there. So this was really the first step of the elaborate protocol. Back then I realized the need for reviving an old idea which had been around in the 80s to come up with a liquid that is not toxic and that you can mix with dental ceramics and you can see the color before you fire it. Okay, that was really the beginning of reviving this old idea, and this is what it could do. So you could mix your dental ceramic with the visualized liquid, and you could sort of see the color before firing it. Okay, that was sort of, I thought that was pretty helpful. That was pretty good. You know, the stuff is a bit of a funny consistency because in order for it to work, it has to be thick, unfortunately. So it doesn't handle that nicely. When you stack it, it's a little bit like marzipan, okay? But it gives you the benefit of showing you the color of the ceramic before you stack it. And this is what I did. I took an old coping that I had sitting in my drawer. I think I might have even had it opaqued or something. And then I started mixing dental ceramics together. I started mixing dentins with pink porcelain and all sorts of things. And at that time, this was a qualitative approach. We were mixing and matching visually. We were mixing things together and then holding it in the mouth and comparing it. And so this is not the fired crown. This is the unfired wet crown mixed with the visualized liquid. That was really the beginning of the protocol. And you know, even with this approach, it was very, very time consuming. You know, you would get pretty good results, but it was time consuming and it was empirical. It was mixing and matching. Okay, there's no way in checking up on it, right? And these were like some of the results that I used to get with the visualized liquid. And then later, I thought of adding a yellow stain and a red stain to it to specifically target the A and the B. And this is pretty much where we are today. And this is pretty much what you could see in most of the presentations today, that you require having to use a dentin. You require to remove the food color from it first because it's pink, right? And then you add the visualized liquid to it, and then you add red stain and yellow stain to it. Now this works reliable. It does, but it is time consuming. It is absolutely time consuming. Okay? So since then, I've been working really, really hard on making this process simple. We want to have it simple, not difficult. We want to make it simple, and we want to make it reliable. And now finally, after more than a year of research, we finally got it. Say hello to the Elab pilot. Now, the Elab pilot works on Macintosh. And for those of you misguided souls, it also works on PC. You're welcome. You're welcome. I have to admit to you that it really shames me very deeply to report to you that right now it works better on PC than it does on Mac. And it relates back to the old, oh, I'm a PC developer, not a Mac developer, okay? But we're getting on top of this, okay? And this is now what it looks like. This is the Elab pilot here. So what it does is it replaces classic color meter. And because it also runs on PC, you know, you can use it there as well, because so far classic color meter was not available on PC. It was only available on Macintosh, and there was no comparable software on PC. So this will run on PC and on Mac, and has basically the same function. You have an aperture that you can vary in size. You can measure tooth color. You get a cross as well, but you know, with a little bit of a difference, of course. Now, guys, let me tell you that the research behind this was extensive, to say the least. Okay, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort and hours that went into it, and I just want to give you a brief idea. This is a software which is called MATLAB, and this is typically used in engineering, and it's used in physics and all sorts of sciences, okay? And MATLAB created the foundation for working out the algorithms. And another bit of kit that I got myself for my birthday, I guess, is this device here. This is a lap polisher. This is a Bueller EcoMeat lap polisher, and what it does is you can program this baby, and it polishes down ceramic discs and ceramic samples to specific thicknesses and surface grade. Okay, and that's kind of what you need if you want to find out an algorithm that describes these things well. Okay, that's kind of what you need. And this is what a sample looks like when it's done with it. So it's pretty impressive. And then lots and lots of measurements had to be taken. So again, at this point, I have to pay my respect to Marat, because he's doing something very similar. He's done something very similar. I know you guys have been in the lab firing lots of samples. I feel your pain. Oh my word. what a lot of work this is, right? And then this went into MATLAB to come up with the first basic app with the first basic algorithm. And then once we had that, lots and lots and lots of samples had to be fired, actual crowns, because you need to know if these disc-shaped samples, if they relate to actual crowns. You need to know that, right? And then they have to be measured and all the rest of it. So lots and lots of those crowns were made so they could be measured. And then this is basically how the Elab pilot works. So the first thing that you do is you got to open it. It has a float window function, so it always stays on top of other windows. It never goes behind something else. It always stays on top of the screen. So the first thing that you do is when you move your cursor around, just like classic color meter, you're measuring LAB values, so the same as before. This thing has a drop-down menu, and you can pick your favorite ceramic system, the one that you like the best. So these are the ones that we currently have, and I'm looking into including Noritake porcelains as well. And then you pick the software, you pick the ceramic system that you like the best first, and then you do Command L on your keyboard, and it gives you a recipe. It gives you the target values, LAB values, and a recipe. And not only that, it will also tell you what you need to mix this with. What to mix it with. And it will give you advice on what the background color should be. Let's say this is a zirconia because it's Creation ZICT, so it'll tell you to use a white zirconia. It will give you a recommendation about what enamel to use as well. And then you can mix this. Now, the way that this works is, this here, the E12, is the brown stain from Ivoclar Ivocolor. Okay? And what the brown stain does is it lowers the luminosity, it increases the red, and it increases the yellow. That's what it does. The E21 is the red stain, as you know, that increases the red if it needs it. And the E22 is the yellow stain from Ivoclar, and that increases the yellow if it needs it. Okay? So here you have a recipe for 2 units of brown, 1 unit of red, and 3 units of yellow. And then next, it's going to tell you to take this and you need to mix it with the bleach dentin from Creation, in this case, BDB0. And if you use a different ceramic system, it's probably going to show you a different bleach dentin depending on the ceramic system that you use, right? And this is the latest thing that we have. We finally got there. I am so blessed, and I'm really, really very happy to work with one of the best designers that Germany has to offer. We've collaborated on various projects. He's the guy that I work with, and these are the beautiful Elab co-pilot instruments that he has come up with. These are the portioners for the Elab app. He did a wonderful job. Fantastic, George. This is your applause. I can tell you guys, you have to appreciate this, because to make a portioner that has that sort of accuracy to it, okay, we're talking about very small amounts of fine dust powder without having to invest any significant amounts of money in electronic gears like scales and whales, and that is difficult. That's a real exercise. It's difficult to do, okay? And so what we do is this. So these are essentially the little Ivoclar bottles. These ones here are the Ivoclar bottles, okay, as you know them. Now what we do is we have replacement lids for those. And of course, they have a red for the E21, and we have this one for the E22, the yellow, and then this one here is for the brown. And then what you can see here are these little popsicles, they're little lollipops, okay? And they serve 2 purposes. They seal that hole because you have to take care of the moisture. You've got to control the moisture because that's really very fine, very, very dry powder. That's what it does. And it does something else, which I'll tell you in a minute. And this is one of the cases that I've done with this so far. Now have a look at this. Have a look at this. In many books on aesthetic dentistry that have been published on the last 10 years, probably up until now, this is considered to be the state of the art. This is considered to be state of the art. To have a shade tab in the picture that tells you nothing, and that you have a picture at all. is currently the state of the art in aesthetic dental communication. Believe it or not. Can we do better than that? I can't hear you. Can we do better than that? Yes. Is there a need to do better than that? Yes. We have to do better than that, of course. So we use the ePilot app. There she goes. Choose your ceramic system from the drop-down menu. Then vary the aperture size of the area that you want to measure. Make sure you've got a nice big average and take a reading. And here it tells you what to do. It tells you which dentin to use, which enamel to use, and what background to press it in, because that's Ivoclar Emax Ceram. Do you like that? And then we have George's beautiful instruments. Now, I didn't have these when I did all those mixing recipes. I had some prototypes that didn't have any inner workings in them. But they pretty much work in much the same way. So these are the mechanical ones. They have a nice little button here at the end. So what you do is you put this thing in the little jar, through the hole in the lid, and you grab the amount of yellow, red, or brown that the app recommends you, and then you pull it out, which cleans it up, and then you dispense the amount of stain that's in here over your mixing plate, and then you're ready to mix that. Now, I believe in Marat's approach that there's some benefit in staining the substrate first. In this case, the pressing material, and I wanted to pay particular attention to this area here because you have the neck sort of exposed there, so the cervical sort of is the cementum is shining through here a little bit. So that's why I characterized that bit at the neck here first, and then I formulated the dentin mixture as per the app, and then same thing as Mara says. I use one bake. I apply all the powders and everything in one hit, and then I pretty much use Leo's technique. So I have this model here which has pink wax applied to it, and I have a tooth colored dye as well. Pretty much what I've learned from Leo, and then this here is the digital try-in, and I'm sure you've seen by now that many of the speakers have shown digital try-ins, and guys, the digital try-in, what a killer, huh? How cool is that? What an advantage is it to be able to see the result on a screen before you put it in someone's mouth? And how much does it cost you? Nothing. And that's really good because you can check on the accuracy of your work before you waste anyone's time, including your own. That's a really, really useful feature of the Elab protocol, to be able to test on the accuracy before you send something out. Because you know why? You want to know if it's good here. Then and there. That's when you want to know if it's good. Because if it's good here, it's going to be good there. Okay, the actual try-in in the mouth, okay, with IPS Emax Ceram and a customized shade mixture. This is the polarized image, and they say polarized never lies, and that is true, right? And it's very, very good for an analytical purpose and measurements and so forth, but I think the result that really matters the most is always the reflected image. And again, this is the results that we can achieve with the Elab protocol and now with the Elab pilot. So now comes the big question. Know what you're thinking. I have the magical ability. I know what you're thinking. When can you have it? When can you get it? We're taking pre-orders on our webpage now. And the delivery will be in 90 days. That's when you can have it. Is that cool? Oh, one more thing. Because I know that many of you have traveled from far and, Yes. Who said yes? Put up your hand. Ulla. You're like from Poland. That's not far. I was more thinking like California or Indonesia or Canada or Australia. Now my team, my guys, will go through the rows now. and they will hand out envelopes to every one of you. Please don't open them yet. Grab an envelope each, and please don't open them yet. Make sure everyone has got an envelope.
Santiago vergessen für die Instructor.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot you. I forgot you with the instructor, sorry.
I sent you.
Okay, I forgot mentioning. Okay, I'll put you on the webpage, okay? Sure. Does everyone have an envelope? Everybody? Put them up, I want to see them. Oh, you should see yourself right now, I love it. Please open them. Oh. Winners are grinners. Who's got the golden tickets? Put your hands up. Who has a golden ticket? You will be taking this home with you today.
I have a double lucky basket.
No, there's 10 more.
Sorry?
So there's about 10 tickets in total. So you're not the only winner.
Okay, no.
But congratulations.
Sure.
Now, as I said to you, this is the small introduction starter kit that George has come up with. So it's got that little popsicle, that little lollipop in it, and these come in 3 flavors. There's a size 1 and there's a size 5, and you can use these for portioning the ceramic, and you'll also get a free version, a free 90-day version of the app to try out. And so you're now ready to join the revolution. Welcome. But first, let's party. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you. Maybe I can have all the speakers here with me as well. That would be nice. All the speakers, please. Safe. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you very
All the best. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot you on the thing.
I know.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Ich kümmere mich drum. All the presenters.
Drop the mic.
Right, guys, this has been the first International Elab Symposium. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and we're seeing you again next year.